Hare Krishna, all devotees. And not pranam to
Hare
all
Krishna,
of you.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Prasad.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad pranams.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. I invite you and welcome you all to the short early morning Bhagavatam class from ISKCON Mangaluru Temple, Radha Govinda Temple, for and on behalf of His Divine Grace, Sri Namanishta Das Prabhuji. Let us begin with prayers as always. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Chakshurunmulitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swami Niti Namini. Namo Acharya Padaya Nitai Krupaya Pradayine Gaur Pratadamadaya Nagar Gramatarine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshtarine. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yudpadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagar Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagar Lalitam Shri Vishakan Vitansha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandho Jagatpate Yogesh Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Sri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. May I request you all to follow me? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Janmadasya yatho anvayad itirat chartheshu abhinah swarat.
Janmadhyasya Anvayat Itarata Abhigyam
Tene Brahmaradaya Adi Kavaye Muyanti Yat Suraya.
Tene
Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye Muyanti
Suraya.
Yasuryaha
Tejo Vari Mrudam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Brusha.
Tejo
Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Kritashamrita
Namna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi.
Namrasena Sada
Param Dhimahi.
Dharma Projita Kaita Utra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Sata.
Dharma Projita Kaitavottaramo Nirmatsaranam Satam.
Vedyam
Paramo
vastavamatra vastu shivatam tapatrayo
Nirmatra
moolanam.
वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र शिवतं तापत्रयो न मूलनम्
Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni-krite kim va parayishvara.
श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनि कृते किं वा परैश्वरः
Tadyo rudya tetra krutibihi शुश्रूषुभिः तत्क्षणात्.
सद्यो
सद्यो
हृदयेत्र
ऋतुकृतिः
शुश्रूषुभिः तत्क्षणात्
लक्षणात्
निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं सुखमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतम्.
निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं सुखमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुक्तम्
पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकः भुवि भावुकाः.
पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकाः भुवि भावुकाः
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमम्.
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव
Narottamam
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये.
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये
शृणतां स्वकतः कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः
शृण्वतः
कृष्णा श्रवणकीर्तनः
Shravanakirtana
हृदयन्तः स्तूयभद्राणि विदुनोति सुरस्तताम्.
हृद्यन्तस्तो रुद्राणि होति
Sunoti
नष्टप्रायेष्व अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया.
नष्टप्रायेषु
Vaishvabhadreshu
भागवतसेवया
Bhagavata Seva
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी.
भगवते
Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati
नैष्टिकी
Early morning recitation of these slokas of Srimad Bhagavatam in our house creates an auspicious vibrations and certainly removes all inauspicious things from house and our lives. Right, so today we have 4th canto, 30th chapter, verse number 20. I thought we got the live stream done in YouTube. Are we on a live stream on YouTube? Anyone
Yes, Prabhu.
can?
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you. Surekha Mataji, would you like to recite the verse first and
Yes,
then
sure.
later on all to
Sure.
follow? Hare Krishna
Yes,
Mataji.
Prabhu. Yes. Hare Krishna. नव्यवद्हृदये यज्ञो ब्रह्मैतद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः न मुह्यन्ति न शोचन्ति न हृष्यन्ति यतो गतः.
Thank you.
Hare
Srinivas Rao
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नव्यवद्रुदये यज्ञो ब्रह्मैतद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः नामुह्यन्ति न
ब्रह्मैतद्ब्रह्म
शोचन्ति
नादिभिः
नापुष्यन्ति यतो
नावृष्यन्ति
गताः।
यतो गतः।
नाहुष्यन्ति
Sujata Mataji.
नाहुष्यन्ति
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु
यतो
जी धन्यवाद
गताः.
नव्यवाद हृदयो यज्ञो ब्रह्मैतत् ब्रह्मवादिभिः नामुह्यन्ति
नव्ये
नाशोषन्ति नारिष्यन्ति यथो गतः. हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी थैंक यू.
Thank you, Mataji. Madhumai Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी. नव्यवद् हृदये यज्ञो ब्रह्मैतद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः नामुह्यन्ति न शोचन्ति न हृष्यन्ति यतो गताः. कृष्ण.
Chitra Mohini Devidasi ji.
हरे कृष्ण
Thank you.
नव्यवद्हृदयो यज्जघ्नो ब्रह्मैतद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः नामुह्यन्ति न शोचन्ति न हृष्यन्ति यतो गतः. हरे कृष्ण.
Surya Prakash Rao Prabhuji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु
UDV.
धन्यवाद प्रणाम. नववत् हृदये यज्ञो ब्रह्मैतद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः न मुह्यन्ति न शोचन्ति न हृष्यन्ति यतो गताः. हरे कृष्ण.
Madhusoni Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. नव्यवृद्धतये यज्ञो ब्रह्मैतद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः न मुह्यन्ति न शोचन्ति न हृष्यन्ति यतो गता. थैंक यू प्रभु जी. हरे कृष्ण.
Sujata Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। नव्यवादृदये यज्ञो ब्रह्मैतद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः न मुह्यन्ति न शोचन्ति न ह्रियन्ति यतो गताः।
Anjali Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। नव्यवृद्धदयै यज्ञो ब्रह्म तद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः न मुह्यन्ति न शोचन्ति न हृष्यन्ति यतो गताः। हरे कृष्ण।
Subba Rao Prabhuji.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे
Dandavat
कृष्णा
Pranam
प्रभु
Prabhuji.
जी। हरे कृष्णा प्रभु
Dandavat
जी।
Pranam Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी। नव्यवद्रुदये यज्ञो ब्रह्मैतद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः न मुह्यन्ति न शोचन्ति न हृष्यन्ति यतो गताः।
Ayushi Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी प्रणाम प्रभु जी। यावद् हृदये यज्ञो ब्रह्म तद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः न मुह्यन्ति न शोचन्ति न हृष्यन्ति यतो गताः। Thank you so very much.
Prafula Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी. नव्ययहृदय यज्ञो ब्रह्मितद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः न मुह्यन्ति न शोचन्ति न हृष्यन्ति यतो गताः. हरे कृष्ण प्रभु. थैंक यू प्रभु.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else left out?
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
Go
नव्यवृद्धे
ahead, Mataji.
यज्ञो ब्रह्मोत ब्रह्मवादिभिः न मुहन्ति न शोषन्ति न हिरष्यन्ति यतो गतः। हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Dandavat Pranam. Anyone
हरे
else?
कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
Go ahead, Mataji.
नव्यवधृतये यज्ञो ब्रह्मेतद्ब्रह्मवादिभिः न मुह्यन्ति न शोचन्ति न हृष्यन्ति यतो गताः. थैंक यू प्रभु जी. हरे कृष्ण.
Thank you very much. Anyone else left out? Sujata Subhash Mataji, would you like to read this, the synonyms for us?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. Navyavad ever increasingly fresh. Hridaye, in the heart. Yet, yes, Nyaha, the supreme knower, Paramatma. Brahma, Brahman. Etat, this. Brahmavadi bihi, by the advocates of the absolute truth. Na, never. Muyanti, are bewildered. Na, never. Shoshanti, lament. Na, never. Rishyanti, are jubilant. Yataha, when. Gataha, have attained. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Always engaging in the activities of devotional service, devotees feel ever increasingly fresh and new in all their activities. The all-knower, the super soul within the heart of the devotee, makes everything increasingly fresh. This is known as the Brahman position by the advocates of the absolute truth. In such a liberated stage, that is Brahmabhuta stage, one is never bewildered, nor does one lament or become unnecessarily jubilant. This is due to the Brahmabhuta situation. Purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A devotee is inspired by the super soul within the heart to advance in devotional service in variety of ways. The devotee does not feel hackneyed or stereotyped, nor does he feel that he is in a stagnant position. In the material world, if one engages in chanting a material name, he will feel tired after chanting a few times. However, one can chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra all day and night and never feel tired. As chanting is increased, it will come out new and fresh. Srila Rupa Goswami said that if he could somehow get millions of ears and tongues, then he could relish spiritual bliss by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There is really nothing uninspiring for a highly advanced devotee. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that He is situated in everyone's heart and that He helps the living entity forget and remember. By the grace of the Lord, the devotee gets inspiration. Tesham sesam tasat yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upiyanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Bhagavad Gita 10.10. As stated, Kushala Karmana, those engaged in auspicious activities in devotional services are guided by the super soul described in this verse as Jiva, Jna, one who knows everything. It's part of the Jnana, past, present, and future. The super soul gives instructions to the sincere, unalloyed devotee on how he can progress more and more in approaching the supreme personality of Godhead. Srila Jiva Goswami in this connection says that the super soul The plenary expansion of the personality of Godhead exists in everyone's heart, but in the heart of the devotee, he reveals himself as ever increasingly new. Being inspired by him, the devotee experiences increased transcendental bliss in the execution of the devotional service. All right, we got a long way. What is the fourth canto? Hare Krishna,
Creation of
everyone.
fourth order. Creation of fourth order.
Order of creation of
Very
fourth
good.
order.
Very good. And chapter
The activities
30.
of the Prachetas.
The activities
Activities of the
Activities of the
Prachetas.
Activities of the Prachetas.
Wonderful. So we are oriented very well. We did in verse 17 that Lord gave benediction, saying that he was very pleased with the relationship of all the brothers. They are in unity and instructed them to marry a woman known as Marisa and forecasted that they will have a son, a very famous son whose progeny will fill all three worlds. He also gave a benediction that Prachetas will live for 1 million years and shall enjoy the material world in all planetary systems in the fullest, as he is going to give them full body strength, and the enjoyment will be without hindrance. We also learned in verse 18 that Lord gave benediction of enjoying the material facilities for 1 million of years, but at the same time, he also gave a benediction of undeviated devotional service to them. This, he said, will be possible, though it looks as if both are contradiction to each other, that they will remain in the material world and enjoy the material world, but they will remain unattached to the material world. This unattachment is very important. And that's why when you are even enjoying it, when it is not there tomorrow, it doesn't affect you. And this is how Prabhupada tells us that how to live in this world uh, when enjoying the life and the family, etc. You remain unattached, and when you are unattached, and when you are doing everything for Krishna, nothing really comes to you. And so there are no reactions that you gather for the future life. It was further told in this verse that if you remain anywhere, even in the highest planet like Brahmaloka, you still have to take birth and death. So you still have to come back, have the birth, and have death. However, when you transcend to the gods above, then the birth and death does not remain anymore. And so the repetition of life, you get liberated from it. Verse 19 told us all in detail about Yukta Vairagya and its implications. This verse 20, is actually describing the qualities of devotees engaged in bhakti. Those devotees who are engaged in bhakti and are involved in unalloyed devotional service develop certain kind of characteristics or qualities, and that has been described here. Those qualities that a bhakta develops, this position is called as Brahma Bhuta stage. Brahma Bhuta stage of devotee is a situation where his super soul is wide awakened and is very active. If you look at the qualities, Navavyad Hradaye, that means ever increasing freshness and feeling new in almost all their activities. Namayanti is very simple, never getting bewildered. Nasochanti is never feeling lamenting. Nahaschanti, never feeling jubilant unnecessarily. Prabhupada explains very well that we actually are doing 16 rounds or whatever rounds each one is doing of Mahamantra every day. If we count, it comes to 1728 times repetition of the same Mahamantra, those 16 syllables, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. In spite of speaking and hearing the same Mahamantra, or if you are doing 16 rounds for at least 1728 times, you never feel bored with it, you never feel stereotyped with it, never feel stagnant, and never feel tired of it. So there is definitely something different in this Mahamantra than any material name. Any material name or a sentence you pick it up may be equivalent to 16 syllables. And then if you repeat it so many times every day, we'll feel absolutely tired and bored with it. We'll feel stereotyped definitely and feel that we are stagnant. And so there is something in this Mahamantra that doesn't allow us to feel that. And we always feel as if we are fresh and we are new. We all have experienced this, and I'm sure all of you have experienced as well. That if you do, say for example, 5 rounds or 7 rounds or 8 rounds, you feel to do more. When you finish your 16 rounds, at times you feel that you would like to do one more for a particular purpose. So there is definitely something auspicious in this Mahamantra that doesn't allow us to feel bored with it. Now let's know how much we know about this Mahamantra. What are the 3 stages of this Mahamantra? The recitation of Mahamantra. Subharao Prabhuji?
Hare
Oh, I
Krishna.
felt your hand was raised.
Paratha,
Yes,
Nama Bhasa, Shuddha Nama.
very good. And then we all know various offenses. There are so many offenses that the Mahamantra has. Yes, Surya Prakash Rao Prabhuji.
Forgotten to lower that. Sorry.
Yes. Oh, I see. Okay, okay. I thought you want to answer the question. So the next question is, what are the offenses that we have in Mahamantra recitation or chanting? Anyone would like to tell that?
Hare
Sujata
Krishna
Mataji?
Prabhuji.
Sujata Subhash Mataji?
That we should not blaspheme the devotees who are dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name. It's the first offense we should not make.
Right.
Shall I
Yes,
continue, Prabhuji,
Mataji.
or others can tell?
Yeah, you can continue, Mataji.
Or to think that Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal or independent of Lord Vishnu. So that's the wrong thing.
Okay,
And not to
right.
disobey the spiritual master. And
Thank you,
fourth one is to,
Mataji. So,
okay.
Prafulla Mataji.
not to think of Harinam, holy name as scriptural or ritual or scriptural like that. And
Very good.
in order, I just forgot, Prabhuji. And not to do offense,
problem.
not to commit offense in order of the strength of holy name.
Very good.
And not to
Yeah.
and not to give the holy name, speak to holy name to the non-devotees. And
Okay.
okay,
Person
that
who has
much I
no
remember.
faith.
Not to sleep,
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
Yes. Okay.
Then, Prabhuji, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the
Yes.
Vedic versions. That is also there.
Yes, Sureka Mataji. That's true. That's true.
Then to give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord.
Yes. Very good. Very nice. So
Hare
these
Krishna,
are the
Prabhuji.
19.
To commit sinful activities for the strength of the
Inattentive
chanting of the
chanting.
holy
Yeah.
names. To consider
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mahamantra one of the auspicious ritualistic activities as Karma Kanda, and to not to
Yes.
have faith in the chanting of the holy names, complete faith in the chanting of the holy names, and to maintain the material attachments even after so many instructions. It is also an offense to have the to do the inattentive chanting. This is the 10th aparadha. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Mataji. Thank you. So the most important is the last one, inattentive chanting. We all do inattentive chanting, and we do not realize until we pay attention to it. And that's why it is saying, Aishwarya Mataji always says that always listen to what you are chanting. And so far as you listen to what you are chanting, your chances of becoming inattentive to Hare Krishna mantra are less and less. So that is the best way of doing, removing the inattentive part of chanting. It's very important that we consider this chanting as very attentive, and it's a personalized time, your time, an appointment with Lord Krishna that you are going to spend. And so you can't be inattentive to Lord Krishna. And that's why inattentiveness must at always and at all costs be removed from while chanting Hare Krishna mantra. These mantra, now we all chant 16 rounds, and we must keep on increasing the rounds of mantra. We all know why we recite the mantra, to remove all the contaminations and anarthas from our heart. And until we do that, we will not be able to be purified enough to go back to Godhead. Very simply, Rupa Goswami says very nicely that give me millions of ears and tongue to speak the mantra and ears to hear the mantra, then I might have millions and millions of blissfulness felt all through. Those engaged in devotional services are always guided by the super soul. And Lord Krishna has said that in several places in Bhagavad Gita, we all have known that, and few verses are also given, like 10.10, etc. And here he tells that he actually is a cause of remembering, forgetfulness, and loss of memory. The super soul stays in every living entity's heart, but in case of devotee's heart, super soul is very active, awakened, and always giving increasing experience of newness, and inspires devotee to uh, feel the transcendental bliss while he is performing his devotional service. These are some of the very important takes from this verse. And Prabhupada is explaining to us in detail all the qualities that lead one to a Brahmabhuta stage. Brahmabhuta stage, mind you, is a stage where there are no bewilderments, and it is also known as more Sthitadhira Muni stage, where you don't get excited or depressed by small things coming here and going there. And so this stage is the initial but very important stage which then lets us climb into the spiritual path of further going into bhava and prema. And these two are ultimate final stages which leads us back to Godhead. It's a very nice verse that describes purely the qualities of a devotee who is engaged in the service. Any question, any revelation, any addition anyone has in this verse? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Prabhuji.
The Paramatma is the expansion of Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes.
Atma is a fraction of Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes.
How one should distinguish between a fraction and expansion?
Expansion is the expansion of the Lord Himself. This is super soul or Paramatma is known as localized expansion, and it stays in the heart, wherein all the qualities of the God, Lord Krishna, exist in all his expansions, or whatever qualities are needed are always given to the that particular expansion. The Atma, or a part and parcel or a small fraction of the big Lord, also has qualities, not all of them, but most of them. And there are percentages that Lord Krishna, if has all the opulences and the qualities, you consider 100%, then the maximum qualities that a jiva or a living entity can develop is up to about 78%, or what Lord Brahma can have or has. This is where he becomes the quality equal to Lord, and 78% is considered to be 100% for a jiva. But these qualities are not the same in quantity. The quantities are much lesser, much smaller, and to some extent kind of insignificant considering the Lord's opulence, qualities and quantities that Lord has. That's the difference between the Atma and Super Soul or Paramatma. Is that making sense, Subharao Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. That is called as Anu Atma and Vibhu Atma.
Right. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhuji. Sujata Mataji, you have a hand raised.
I think there was an analogy given, Prabhuji, that it's like fire and the fire sparks. Like we are the sparks in the fire, and the fire is the thing. So that is the difference.
Yes.
And
I think
one
it's a very nice analogy, as Mataji said, that it's a big fire, and out of big fire, small sparks always fly out. So we are like those small sparks, and Lord is a big fire. Yeah, Mataji, you were saying something else also. Carry on.
And also another analogy they give is the drop of water in the ocean. So we have just a small bit of, all call it Sachitananda, but it's just a small drop we have. So
That's true. That's another analogy. If you look at the drop of the ocean water, it still tastes salty, and the rest of the ocean is also a salty ocean. But the amount of the salt the ocean has is a huge amount, whereas the drop has only a fraction of that salt. So that's the difference in the quantity. Thank you, Mataji.
Prabhu,
Thank you for your
Prabhu,
revelation. Yes,
may I say something?
Sunaka Mataji.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yes, please
Prabhu,
go ahead.
in Bhagavad Gita, the chapter is Kshetra and Kshetrajna. So Kshetra is field of knowledge, and Kshetra, there are two Kshetrajnas. One is the soul and the other is super soul. So the soul knows only about his own field. His knowledge is limited to his own field. But the Kshetra, super soul, his own body. But the super soul knows about everyone's body. Means all the kshetras he knows. So knowledge is another aspect that we have limitation. We know about ourselves only, but the super soul knows about everyone's bodies, all the jivatmas.
This is this is very good, and it is explained in the analogy that a citizen would know all about his own property and himself, but the king would know about the entire kingdom and all the citizens. Similarly, the soul has only a knowledge of the body that he is residing. But the Lord has knowledge of all the bodies existing in the form of living entities. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else would like to add anything?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, there is also another
Go ahead,
analogy.
Madhumaya. Yes,
Actually, there is
Madhumaya.
also another analogy. The super soul or a supreme lord is the gold mine, and we are just gold particles. Like this is another analogy, and also it is explained in the by Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. In that the super soul and the soul both are same in quality but not in quantity. So soul is the super soul is the Vibhu and soul is the Anu. So that is understood in this way. It is understood. It's the same in quality but not in quantity. So super soul is infinite, and soul is the infinitesimal. So that is the understanding. And super soul is the material expansion of the expansion of Krishna. That is Kshirodakshai Vishnu is coming. And the soul is a permanently separated particle of parted parcel of Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna
Subharav
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji
Hare
said
Krishna
the
Prabhuji.
same thing, and that's how he said Anu and me. Right. Thank you, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I was just saying Prabhuji that plenary person is the unseparated parts and parcels, Prabhuji, and we are the separated parts and parcels. Atma is the separated parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, that much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. There is another analogy, like a farmer.
All the expansions are also separated form of the Lord. They are not the same form of the Lord. So that's why they are expansions. So soul is also separate, and so also the expansions. Hare Krishna Mataji. Ha Mataji.
Hare
Go
Krishna.
ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. There's another analogy. Like a farmer knows only about his, supposing if he has 100 acres, he knows only about those 100 acres. Whereas the sun, which shines all over the world, it knows everything. So Paramatma is the sun and the Atma is that farmer.
Mataji, there are so many
Analogies. Yes.
that you probably will count in terms of hundreds. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. But the meaning is same. All of them say that one localized knowledge is with the soul, while generalized knowledge or overall knowledge is with the Lord. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Anyone else would like to have any addition? Any questions?
There is also a shloka is there in this thing. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko hi bahunam vidadati kaman. The soul is also eternal, super soul is also eternal, and soul is also conscious, super soul is also conscious, but super soul is super conscious, and super soul is looking after every the living entity, every it is Palana Shakti. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, the
Krishna,
three
Prabhuji.
stages of consciousness.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Dinesh Prabhu.
In fact, two things are there. Soul is fragmented, individual, and of the size of 1 upon 10,000 part of the tip of a hair. Whereas super soul is universal and of the size of thumb, and present it is universal. That means it is common to all living entities and energizing the living entity. Whereas soul may get contaminated, but super soul does not get contaminated. Secondly, super soul is a quiet observer and permitter, Anumanta and observer form. Whereas super soul gets influenced in the original form, it is pristine, pure and clear, uncontaminated, eternal part and parcel, but on coming to material, becoming in contact with material nature, it gets contaminated and coated with three modes of material nature. So this is a difference, other differences which are presented between soul and super soul. The main emphasis is that individual and universal, and the size also, and other features that Mataji and Prabhuji just now added. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. The differences in the soul and super soul, I think, is described in 3/4 of Bhagavad Gita. The main point here is concerning with the devotee and how devotee is being helped in crossing the ocean of the material world or transcending it with the help of super soul. Thank you very much, Dinesh Prabhuji, for your revelation. Thank you. Anyone else has anything else to add? Hare Krishna, everyone. I think we call it a day.
And Prabhu, both are located in the heart, within the heart. Soul is providing consciousness also to entire body. Yes. Consciousness is the feature of soul. Super soul is universal, so it is not affected by anything.
They are residing in the heart, but in the different forms. And the soul is residing in the form of 5 airs, whereas the super soul is residing in the form of an atom. So there are so many other differences also.
Yes.
The soul is enjoying the fruits of its activities, or when suffering because of the activities. Super soul is the observer. Upadrashta Anumanta.
Sashi Bhuta, we call it.
So basically, soul is a bird which is acting, and the another bird is just watching or giving permissions. Right. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. Anyone else wants to have any revelation?
Prabhuji, at some other context, it is said,
yes,
super soul is within the soul also.
Super soul is within the soul.
Atma of Atma.
Super soul and soul being different, they are in the living entity, they are separate. But soul is part and parcel of the super soul ultimately. But that is part and parcel of the Lord Krishna. Super soul is an expansion, is a localized form and living in the heart. Thank you very much.
One more point, Prabhuji. Super soul has granted minute independence to soul to act according to its mode of nature. Whereas super soul is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Super soul it permits, observes, but it does not interfere. it only grants whatever the person, individual is, living entity is wishing for.
So both of them do not interfere with each other.
So
Soul can't
soul is
interfere and super soul, soul can't interfere and super soul doesn't interfere. So
super
wheel
soul,
is always
soul. Yes, Prabhuji. Soul is
that's
subordinate to super soul, I meant to say.
Yeah, that's true.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna to everyone. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Kripa Sindhu Devacha.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you,
Patjana
Prabhu.
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Thank you so much,
Pranams,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams.
Hare
And
Krishna.
thank you
Pranam,
very
Prabhuji.
much for
Prabhuji.
a wonderful participation. I like this. Wonderful. Thanks all of you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Thank you much.
Hare